The kitchen pipe had been dripping for 3 weeks, and Emily kept reminding me about it every morning over coffee. "Jake, that sound is driving me crazy," she'd say, stirring her oat milk latte with the precision of a surgeon. Tonight, I finally decided to fix the thing. It was past midnight when I crawled under the sink with my toolbox. The house was quiet except for that rhythmic drip drop that had become the soundtrack to our failing marriage. I was tightening the fitting when I heard Emily's voice drifting from the living room. "I know it sounds complicated, but I've made up my mind," she whispered into her phone. "Yes, I'll carry the baby for you." I froze, wrench in hand. Emily and I had been trying for a second child for 2 years. Our daughter Lucy was 5 now, and Emily had been obsessing about giving her a sibling. But carrying someone else's baby? That was news to me. "Cole, I understand the risks," she continued, "but we need this arrangement to work. The money will solve everything." Cole, her college boyfriend. The pretty boy with the trust fund who dumped her senior year for some sorority princess. I hadn't heard that name in our house for 7 years. My hands started shaking as I listened to my wife plan out a pregnancy that apparently had nothing to do with our family and everything to do with her ex. The wrench slipped and clanged against the pipe. "Hold on," Emily said. I heard her footsteps approaching the kitchen. "Jake, everything okay under there?" "Just fixing your precious leak," I called out, forcing my voice to stay steady. "Don't mind me." She lingered for a moment, then retreated. I heard the sliding door to our back patio open and close. Smart woman, taking the conversation outside where her devoted husband couldn't eavesdrop. I finished the repair in record time and crept to the window. Emily stood on our deck, phone pressed to her ear, gesturing animatedly. Even through the glass, I could see the excitement on her face, the kind of excitement she used to have when we talked about our future together. "The clinic documentation will be flawless," she was saying as I cracked the door. "I have access to everything we need. Jake won't suspect anything until it's too late." Too late for what, exactly? I spent the rest of the night staring at the ceiling while Emily slept peacefully beside me. My mind raced through possibilities, none of them good. Emily worked as a nurse at Coastal Fertility Solutions, the most expensive clinic in our small Maine town. She had access to medical records, treatment plans, and apparently wealthy clients desperate for surrogate mothers. The next morning, Emily hummed while making breakfast. She actually hummed. I watched her flip pancakes with the same hands that had been gesturing so enthusiastically during her secret phone call. "You seem happy today," I said, testing the waters. "Just excited about some changes coming up," she replied without looking at me. "Big changes? What kind of changes?" Now she turned, spatula in hand, and gave me that practiced smile she used on difficult patients at the clinic. "Oh, work stuff. Nothing you'd find interesting, right?" Because blue-collar contractors couldn't possibly understand the complexities of fertility medicine. Never mind that I'd been paying for her nursing degree and supporting her career for the past decade. "Try me," I said. "Jake, please, it's early, and Lucy will be down soon. Can we just have a nice breakfast?" As if summoned, our daughter bounded into the kitchen wearing her favorite unicorn pajamas. Lucy threw herself into my arms, and for a moment the tension dissolved. Whatever Emily was planning, Lucy was innocent in all of this. "Daddy fixed the drip-drop noise," I told Lucy, tickling her sides. "Yay, now I can sleep better," Lucy giggled. "That's right, sweetheart. Daddy fixes everything," Emily said, but her tone carried an edge I'd never heard before. After breakfast, Emily left for work with a kiss on my cheek and a promise to pick up groceries. I waited until her car disappeared around the corner, then went straight to our home office. Emily kept all our financial records in a filing cabinet she thought I never touched. Wrong assumption. I'd been managing our household budget for years while she focused on her career. But today, I was looking for something specific. Hidden behind our tax returns, I found a folder labeled Personal Health. Inside were medical bills I'd never seen before. Consultations, tests, procedures. All from Coastal Fertility Solutions. All dated within the last 3 months. All totaling nearly $15,000. $15,000 that hadn't come from our joint account. My phone buzzed with a text from Emily. "Working late tonight. Don't wait up." I stared at that message for a long time. Emily had been working late a lot recently. Always on nights when I had Lucy duty. Always with vague explanations about patient emergencies or inventory issues. I made a decision that would change everything. That evening, after putting Lucy to bed, I drove to Coastal Fertility Solutions. Emily's car wasn't in the parking lot. Neither was any other car, for that matter. The building was completely dark. So much for working late. I drove through town, checking the usual places: the grocery store, the coffee shop, even the gym Emily claimed to visit but never seemed to actually attend. Nothing. Then I remembered the seaside motel on Route 1. It was the kind of place that rented rooms by the hour and didn't ask questions. The kind of place where married women met their college boyfriends to plan secret pregnancies. Emily's silver Honda sat in the parking lot like evidence at a crime scene. I parked across the street and waited. Through the thin curtains of room 12, I could see two figures in heated discussion. Emily's gestures were sharp, angry. The man, presumably Cole, kept running his hands through his hair like he was stressed about something. This wasn't a romantic reunion. This was business. I pulled out my phone and started recording. The video quality wasn't great from that distance, but it clearly showed my wife in a motel room with another man at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday night. They argued for another 20 minutes before Cole stormed out. Even in the parking lot lighting, I could see he was handsome in that preppy, entitled way that had always made me feel like a caveman by comparison. Khaki pants, button-down shirt, expensive watch glinting on his wrist. He climbed into a black BMW and peeled out of the parking lot like a teenager showing off. Emily emerged 5 minutes later, checking her phone and smoothing her hair. She looked tired, frustrated, but not heartbroken. Whatever they'd been discussing, it wasn't a lover's quarrel. I followed her home from a distance, my mind spinning with questions and possibilities. By the time I pulled into our driveway, I'd made another decision. If Emily wanted to play games, I'd learn the rules. The next morning, Emily announced she was taking a personal day. "I need to run some errands," she said, avoiding eye contact. "Can you handle the Patterson kitchen renovation without me hovering?" I'd been remodeling kitchens for 15 years. I thought I could manage. "Sure thing," I said. "Take all the time you need." She kissed my forehead like I was a child and headed upstairs to shower. I heard the water running and made my move. Emily's purse sat on the kitchen counter, practically begging to be searched. Inside, I found her usual items: wallet, keys, lipstick, breath mints, but tucked into a side pocket was a second phone. A cheap burner phone with a cracked screen and exactly 3 contacts: Cole, Mara, and Dr. Stevens. Mara was Emily's best friend from high school, now married to a successful lawyer and living in the kind of house that gets featured in home design magazines. Dr. Stevens was Emily's boss at the fertility clinic. I scrolled through the recent messages, my heart pounding so loud I was sure Emily could hear it over the shower. "Wafked aldezaplenty. Cole, the timeline is tight. Are you sure you can handle this? Wowers no. I've been planning this for months. Trust me. Wowers. What if Jake gets suspicious?" Emily. "Jake doesn't pay attention to anything except his precious construction projects. By the time he figures it out, it'll be too late." Dr. Stevens. "All documentation must be perfect. One mistake, and we're all in trouble." Emily. "Relax. I know what I'm doing." The shower stopped. I quickly photographed the most damning messages, put the phone back, and retreated to the living room with my coffee. Emily came downstairs wearing a dress I'd never seen before. Expensive looking, the kind of outfit she usually saved for special occasions. "Nice dress," I commented. "This old thing? I've had it forever," she lied smoothly. After she left, I called my buddy Tim, who owned the bar where I'd been drowning my sorrows lately. Tim had lived in this town his whole life and knew everyone's business. "I need information about Cole Morrison," I said without preamble. "Emily's college boyfriend? Haven't heard that name in years. Why?" "He's back in town, and I think he's causing problems." Tim was quiet for a moment. "Meet me at the bar in an hour. And Jake, bring cash. Information like this doesn't come free." The Anchor Inn sat on the edge of town like a barnacle on a pier. It was the kind of place where construction workers grabbed beer after long days and where secrets got traded like baseball cards. Tim had owned it for 20 years and had elevated gossip to an art form. "Cole Morrison," Tim said, sliding a beer across the bar. "Pretty boy with more money than sense. His family owns half the commercial real estate in Portland. He's been in and out of trouble since high school, nothing serious enough for jail time, but enough to keep him from inheriting daddy's empire." "What kind of trouble?" "Gambling, mostly. Some questionable business deals. Word is, he owes money to people who don't accept payment plans. That explained the stressed conversation at the motel. Cole needed money, and somehow Emily was going to help him get it. There's more, Tim continued. I heard through the grapevine that he's been sniffing around the fertility clinic. Something about finding surrogate mothers for wealthy clients who want to keep their arrangements private. Private how? Off the books. No official contracts, no legal protections, just cash transactions between desperate people. The pieces started falling into place. Emily wasn't just carrying Cole's baby. She was helping him run an illegal surrogacy operation. Using her position at the clinic to falsify records, create fake documentation, and facilitate under-the-table deals. How much money are we talking about? I asked. For a healthy surrogate with medical access, could be anywhere from $50,000 to $200,000, depending on the client. $200,000, enough to pay off our mortgage, fund Lucy's college education, and give Emily the lifestyle she'd been craving. All she had to do was betray her husband, risk her career, and break several federal laws. I spent the rest of the afternoon at the Patterson job, installing cabinets and planning my next move. Emily wanted to play games? Fine. But she'd forgotten one important detail about her husband. I might be blue-collar, but I wasn't stupid. That evening, Emily came home with grocery bags and a story about spending the day with her sister in Portland. Her sister who lived in California and hadn't visited Maine in 3 years. How's Rebecca doing? I asked innocently. Oh, same old complaints about the weather and her job, Emily said, unpacking organic vegetables that cost twice as much as the regular ones. Give her my best next time you talk to her. I will. We ate dinner like a normal family. Emily helped Lucy with homework while I cleaned the kitchen. We watched a movie together, sharing popcorn and making small talk about Lucy's upcoming school play. It was all so perfectly ordinary that I almost convinced myself I'd imagined the whole thing. Then Emily's burner phone buzzed from inside her purse. She glanced at it casually, but I caught the flash of panic in her eyes. Just work, she said. I'll check it later. At 9 o'clock at night? Babies don't follow business hours, Jake. Right, babies. After Emily went to bed, I sat in our living room and made a list of everything I knew. Emily was involved in an illegal surrogacy operation with her ex-boyfriend and possibly her best friend. She was using her position at the clinic to facilitate the arrangements. She was planning to carry a baby, either Cole's or a client's, for a substantial amount of money. But there was still one piece missing. What was Emily's endgame? Was she planning to leave me after cashing in on this scheme? Was she trying to save our marriage by solving our financial problems? Or was this some twisted form of revenge for years of feeling trapped in small-town life with a blue-collar husband? I needed more information, and I knew exactly where to get it. Emily's best friend Mara had always treated me like something she'd scraped off her designer shoes. She'd married Richard Blackwood, the most successful divorce lawyer in 3 counties, and never let anyone forget it. Their daughter attended the same private school as Lucy, which meant I'd be seeing Mara at the upcoming spring carnival. Perfect opportunity for some reconnaissance. The Coastal Academy Spring Carnival was the kind of event where parents competed to see who could donate the most money, while their children ate cotton candy and rode ponies. Emily had volunteered to run the face painting booth, which meant she'd be stuck in one place for hours. I arrived early and positioned myself at the ring toss game with a clear view of Emily's station. She was already set up, arranging brushes and paints with the efficiency of a surgical nurse. She wore another new outfit, a flowing sundress that probably cost more than my monthly truck payment. Jake Patterson, fancy seeing you here. I turned to find Cole Morrison approaching with a coffee cup and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. He looked exactly like he had in college. Tall, blonde, and convinced the world owed him everything. "Cole," I said evenly. "Didn't know you had kids at Coastal Academy." "I don't. I'm here supporting a friend." His gaze drifted to Emily's booth. "Your wife is quite talented with those face paints. She's talented at a lot of things. I'm sure she is." Cole's smile turned predatory. "We should catch up sometime. Maybe grab drinks and talk about old times." "I don't drink with my wife's ex-boyfriends. Your loss." "I have some fascinating stories about Emily's college years." The threat was subtle but clear. Cole was testing me, seeing how much I knew and how far he could push before I snapped. "I'm sure you do," I said. "But I'm more interested in her present than her past." Are you? Because from what I hear, you two have been having some difficulties." My hands clenched into fists. You hear wrong. Do I? Because Emily seems pretty unhappy with her current situation. All that potential wasted on, he gestured vaguely at my work clothes and calloused hands. That's when I noticed we had an audience. Other parents had started gathering around us, sensing drama. Perfect. You're right, I said loudly enough for everyone to hear. Emily does have a lot of potential. She's so talented that she's been helping old friends with their medical problems. Very generous of her. Cole's face went pale. I don't know what you're talking about. Sure you don't. Just like you don't know anything about private medical consultations or off-the-books arrangements. Emily's always been helpful that way. Jake, you're making a scene, Cole hissed. Am I? I thought I was just having a friendly conversation with my wife's old friend. You know, the one who's been texting her at all hours about urgent matters that can't wait until business hours. The crowd was definitely listening now. I could see phones coming out, parents preparing to capture whatever happened next. Cole stepped closer, lowering his voice. You need to be very careful about what you're implying. I'm not implying anything. I'm stating facts. You've been meeting with my wife to discuss private arrangements that involve substantial amounts of money. That's just business, right? You don't understand the situation. Then explain it to me, right here, right now. Help me understand why my wife's ex-boyfriend needs to meet with her in motel rooms to discuss medical procedures. That did it. Cole's composure cracked completely. You arrogant piece of trash. You have no idea what Emily really thinks about you. She's embarrassed by you. Ashamed to be married to some small-town contractor who can't give her the life she deserves. The crowd gasped. Several people started recording openly now. Is that what she told you? I asked calmly. During your private meetings at the seaside motel? Cole swung at me. It was a clumsy, desperate punch that I saw coming from a mile away. I stepped aside and let his momentum carry him into the ring-toss table, which collapsed in a spectacular crash of wooden bottles and stuffed animals. The crowd erupted in shocked murmurs and nervous laughter. Cole scrambled to his feet, face red with humiliation and rage. This isn't over, he snarled. Yes, it is, I said, and everyone here just witnessed how it ended. Cole stormed off toward the parking lot, while parents helped clean up the mess. I could hear whispered conversations starting around me. Did he say motel rooms? Emily Patterson is having an affair? With her ex-boyfriend? I always thought she was too good for Jake. Maybe Jake's not as clueless as we thought. Mission accomplished. By tomorrow, the entire town would be talking about Emily's secret meetings with Cole Morrison. The gossip mill would do more damage to their operation than any confrontation I could have planned. I walked over to Emily's face-painting booth, where she was trying to pretend nothing had happened. Her hands shook as she painted a butterfly on a little girl's cheek. Having fun? I asked. What was that about? She whispered without looking at me. Just catching up with an old friend. He had some interesting stories to share. Jake, please, not here. You're right, this isn't the place for private conversations. Maybe we should find a more suitable location. I hear the seaside motel has reasonable hourly rates. Emily's hands slipped, smearing blue paint across the child's face. Oops, let me fix that, sweetie. I leaned closer while she cleaned up her mistake. We need to talk tonight, and Emily, bring both your phones. I walked away before she could respond, leaving her to explain the paint smudge to an increasingly impatient 5-year-old. The rest of the carnival passed in a blur of forced normalcy. Lucy won a goldfish at the ring toss game I'd helped reconstruct. Emily finished her face-painting duties with mechanical precision. Other parents made polite small talk while their eyes gleamed with curiosity about the morning's drama. By the time we loaded Lucy and her new pet fish into the car, my phone had already received 3 text messages from neighbors who'd heard about the confrontation. Daddy, why was that man angry at you? Lucy asked from her car seat. Some people don't know how to use their words, I said, catching Emily's glare in the rearview mirror. That's why we practice using our inside voices, Lucy said seriously. That's right, sweetheart. Inside voices are very important. Emily remained silent for the entire drive home, but I could practically hear her mind racing. She was calculating damage, planning explanations, preparing for the conversation she knew was coming. What she didn't know was that I'd been preparing too. That night, after Lucy was asleep, Emily and I sat in our living room like opposing lawyers preparing for trial. She'd changed into comfortable clothes and pulled her hair back, which meant she was ready for a serious conversation. You humiliated me today, she began. I defended myself against your boyfriend's insults. He's not my boyfriend. Then what is he? Emily hesitated, and in that pause, I saw her weighing her options. How much truth could she reveal without destroying her entire plan? He's a client, she said finally. What kind of client meets with nurses in motel rooms? It's complicated. Try me. I might be more intelligent than you think. She flinched at that. Jake, I never said you weren't intelligent. You just told Cole I was an embarrassment, that you were ashamed to be married to a small-town contractor. I never said that. He seemed pretty confident about your feelings. Emily stood up and started pacing, a sure sign she was preparing to lie. Cole has been trying to convince me to leave you. I've been meeting with him to tell him it's not going to happen. In motel rooms, because I didn't want him coming to our house where Lucy might see him. How considerate. And the fertility clinic bills, the secret phone, the conversations about timelines and documentation. Emily stopped pacing. How do you know about any of that? I'm not as oblivious as you think. Now answer the question. She sat back down, and for the first time since this whole thing started, she looked genuinely scared. I can't tell you everything. Why not? Because it's not just my secret to tell. Whose secret is it? Jake, please, just trust me. I'm trying to solve our problems, not create new ones. What problems? I thought we were happy. Emily laughed bitterly. Happy? Jake, we can barely afford Lucy's school tuition. Our house needs $20,000 in repairs. We haven't taken a vacation in 3 years. I'm 32 years old, and I feel like my life is already over. There it was. The truth Emily had been hiding behind her secret meetings and burner phones. She wasn't just planning to betray me, she was planning to escape from me. So you decided to fix everything by carrying your ex-boyfriend's baby. It's not his baby. Whose baby is it? I can't tell you that. Because it's illegal? Emily's silence was answer enough. I pulled out my phone and showed her the photos I'd taken of her burner phone messages. I already know about the off-the-books surrogacy operation. I know Cole owes money to dangerous people. I know you're using your position at the clinic to falsify records. The only thing I don't know is whether you're planning to leave me before or after you cash in. Emily stared at the photos like they were evidence of her own execution. How long have you known? Long enough to document everything. Jake, you don't understand. This could solve all our problems. We could pay off the house, secure Lucy's future, start over somewhere new. With money from illegal medical procedures. It's not that simple. Then explain it to me. Make me understand why my wife is risking everything for her college boyfriend and his get-rich-quick scheme. Emily was crying now, but they weren't tears of remorse. They were tears of frustration, the kind children shed when their parents discover their elaborate lies. Cole found clients who are willing to pay premium prices for complete discretion, she said. Wealthy couples who can't or won't go through official channels. Politicians, celebrities, business executives who need absolute privacy. And you provide the medical cover. I make sure the documentation is perfect. Health records, genetic testing, prenatal care, everything looks completely legitimate, except it's not. The babies are healthy. The surrogates are well compensated. Everyone gets what they want. Everyone except the husbands who get lied to and betrayed. Emily wiped her eyes. I never wanted to lie to you, but you did it anyway, because I knew you wouldn't understand. You're content with this small life, Jake. But I want more. I deserve more. And what about Lucy? Does she deserve to have her mother in prison for medical fraud? That's not going to happen. How can you be sure? Because Cole has connections. Lawyers, judges, people who can make problems disappear. The same connections that are supposed to help him with his gambling debts? Emily's face went pale. How do you know about that? I know a lot of things, Emily, including the fact that Cole's family cut him off 6 months ago. He's desperate, which makes him dangerous. And you're helping him. He promised me this was safe. He promised you a lot of things in college, too. How did that work out? Emily stood up abruptly. I'm not having this conversation anymore. Yes, you are. Because tomorrow morning, you're going to call Cole and tell him the operation is over. You're going to resign from the clinic and find a legitimate job. And you're going to hand over that burner phone and every piece of documentation related to this scheme. Or what? Or I take everything I know to the police, the medical board, and your boss. Then I file for divorce and seek full custody of Lucy on the grounds that her mother is involved in organized criminal activity. Emily stared at me like I'd grown a second head. You wouldn't do that. Try me. She grabbed her purse and headed for the door. I need air. I need to think. Emily. She turned back, hand on the doorknob. If you run to Cole or Mara or anyone else involved in this mess, I'll assume you've made your choice, and I'll act accordingly. Is that a threat? It's a promise. After she left, I sat in our living room and tried to process everything that had happened. My wife was involved in a criminal conspiracy with her ex-boyfriend. She was planning to carry a stranger's baby for money. She was willing to risk our family's future because she was embarrassed by the life we'd built together. But the worst part was that I still loved her. Despite everything, I wanted to find a way to save our marriage and protect our daughter. Unfortunately, Emily had other plans. Emily didn't come home that night. Her car wasn't at the seaside motel, the clinic, or Mara's house. She'd simply vanished, along with her burner phone and whatever remained of our marriage. I spent the morning making phone calls, first to my lawyer, then to the medical board, then to a private investigator who specialized in financial crimes. If Emily wanted to play hardball, I'd show her what a real game looked like. The investigator, a former police detective named Sandra Mills, met me at the Anchor Inn that afternoon. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and the kind of quiet confidence that came from years of uncovering other people's secrets. "Your wife is in deeper trouble than you realize," she said after reviewing the evidence I'd gathered. "This isn't just medical fraud. If they're facilitating surrogacy arrangements for clients who want to avoid legal oversight, they're potentially involved in human trafficking." Human trafficking. Anytime you're moving people across state lines for commercial reproductive purposes without proper legal documentation, federal agencies get interested. And once the FBI starts investigating, everyone involved goes down. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Meet me at the old pier tonight at 8. Come alone. Me S." Sandra read the message over my shoulder. "Don't go." "Why not?" "Because desperate people do desperate things. Your wife has probably spent the last 24 hours being told by Cole and his associates that you're the biggest threat to their operation. They might decide to eliminate that threat. Emily wouldn't hurt me. Emily might not have a choice, but I was going anyway, and Sandra knew it. At least let me provide backup. I'll stay out of sight, but if things go wrong, I'll be close enough to help." The old pier stretched into the Atlantic like a broken finger, its wooden planks weathered by decades of storms and neglect. It had been closed to the public for years, but teenagers still used it for parties, and couples used it for private conversations. Tonight, it would be the site of my final confrontation with Emily. She was already there when I arrived, standing at the far end with her back to the shore. She'd changed clothes again. Jeans and a sweater that made her look younger, more like the woman I'd married. "You came," she said without turning around. "You asked me to. I wasn't sure you would, after everything that's happened." Whoosh. I walked closer, noting the way she held herself, tense, ready to run or fight. "Where did you spend last night?" "With Mara. We had a lot to discuss, about your next move, about damage control." Emily finally turned to face me. Her eyes were red from crying, but her voice was steady. "Jake, I need you to understand something. This situation is bigger than you think. There are people involved who won't hesitate to hurt you or Lucy if they feel threatened." "Is that a threat?" "It's a warning. Cole owes money to some very bad people. This surrogacy operation was supposed to pay them back. If it falls apart now, he should have thought about that before involving my wife. Your wife volunteered. Nobody forced me into anything. Cole manipulated you. He played on your dissatisfaction with our life and convinced you that crime was the answer." Emily laughed bitterly. "You still don't get it, do you? Cole didn't manipulate me. I approached him." "What?" "I contacted Cole 6 months ago. I proposed the surrogacy operation. I recruited Mara to help with the financial arrangements. This was my idea, Jake. My plan to escape from this suffocating small-town existence. The pier seemed to sway beneath my feet. You're lying. Am I? Think about it. Who had access to medical records? Who understood the legal loopholes? Who knew which clients would pay premium prices for discretion? Emily. I used Cole just like he used me. The difference is, I was smarter about it. While he was bragging about his connections and making promises he couldn't keep, I was building a real business, a criminal business, a profitable business. Do you know how much money we made in 6 months? $250,000, tax-free. We, Mara and I. Cole was just the front man, the charming face we showed to clients. But the real operation belonged to us. I stared at my wife, really looked at her, and realized I'd never known her at all. The woman standing in front of me wasn't the victim of her ex-boyfriend's scheme. She was the mastermind. "What about the baby?" I asked. Whose baby are you carrying? Nobody's, yet. But I have 3 clients lined up, each willing to pay 6 figures for a healthy surrogate with medical credentials. And what was my role in all this? The clueless husband who pays the bills while his wife builds a criminal empire? Your role was to provide cover, the stable marriage, the respectable home, the perfect facade for our operation. Until you didn't need me anymore. Emily nodded. The plan was to establish ourselves, make enough money to disappear, then start over somewhere new. Somewhere I could be the person I was meant to be. Well, what about Lucy? Lucy would come with me, of course. She deserves better than this place, too. And if I tried to stop you, then you'd have an accident. Cole has friends who specialize in making problems disappear. There it was, the final truth. Emily wasn't just planning to leave me. She was planning to destroy me. Is that why you asked me to meet you here? To make sure I had an accident? Emily's expression didn't change. That depends on you, Jake. Are you going to be a problem? Behind her, I could see headlights approaching along the coastal road. Multiple vehicles, moving fast. Actually, I said, I think you're the one with the problem. The cars pulled into the pier parking lot. 3 black SUVs with federal license plates. Agents and FBI winebreakers emerged, moving with practiced efficiency. Emily spun around, finally understanding what was happening. You called the FBI? I called everyone. The medical board, the state police, the federal task force on human trafficking. Turns out they'd been investigating reports of illegal surrogacy operations in this area for months. I just gave them the evidence they needed to make arrests. Jake, you don't understand what you've done. These people will come after you, after Lucy. No, they won't, because Cole and his associates are about to be in federal custody, along with their business partners. The agents were walking down the pier now, their flashlights cutting through the evening darkness. Emily Patterson, the lead agent, called out. You're under arrest for conspiracy to commit medical fraud, human trafficking, and racketeering. Emily looked at me one last time, and I saw something I'd never seen before in her eyes. Respect. You're smarter than I thought, she said. I'm smarter than you thought, I agreed, but not smart enough to save our marriage. As they led Emily away in handcuffs, I thought about Lucy sleeping peacefully at her grandmother's house, unaware that her world had just changed forever. Tomorrow, I'd have to explain why Mommy wouldn't be coming home. I'd have to find a way to help her understand that sometimes people we love make choices that hurt everyone around them. But tonight, I just stood on that broken pier and watched my wife disappear into the darkness, taking with her any chance we might have had at happiness. The operation was over. The criminals were caught. Justice was served, and I was completely, utterly alone. Storina, October 10th, 2025, 12 hours, 34 minutes, and 49 seconds.